Jacob here with Sarracenia Northwest. If you've watched my video about the 5 common mistakes to avoid for a healthy Venus flytrap, you've probably already seen this pot of flytraps that I featured towards the end of that video. Now, it's early spring and these plants are about to wake up from winter dormancy and enter their 11th growing season. Now, these flytraps have never seen the insides of a greenhouse. Over the years, they've experienced very hot summers and very cold winters. They've also remained in the same soil and pot for the past 10 growing seasons. In this video, I'm going to repot these plants into fresh soil and show you the entire process. With the right care, Venus flytraps can remain in the same soil for many years. Normally, I don't repot plants unless they've outgrown the pot or they're declining in growth. Now, because Venus flytraps are very small plants, it's very rare that they ever outgrow a pot. And we also use a well-aerated soil mix, which helps maintain healthy roots. But for the sake of curiosity and education, we're going to repot the plants into fresh soil so you can see the process and also see what healthy dormant flytraps look like. Let's get started. Okay, before we begin, I'm going to put on some gloves because I work with wet soil a lot and gloves are going to protect my hands and prevent them from drying out. I also have with me some fresh soil mix here, equal parts of peat moss and perlite, and also a bin of water to rinse off the soil. Now, the best time to repot your plants is in late winter and early spring when plants are still dormant, right before they wake up with spring growth. Of course, this will depend on your regional climate. We're located in Eagle Creek, Oregon, so for us, this would be February, March, and April. Now, to get started, I'm going to remove all of the debris from the plants first so that I can see what's going on. And of course, use scissors whenever necessary. Now, I'm not sure how many plants I started off with initially. I think at least a dozen, evenly spaced out. Okay, now with most of the debris removed, you can see the individual plantlets, and you can also see that I used some pea gravel as top dressing. Okay, now comes the fun part, the actual unpotting of these plants. And I'm just gonna have to be very careful getting my hands in there and being careful not to destroy the roots of these flytraps. Sometimes I would even do that. Well, I didn't mean to do entire that, but looks like the entire thing held together and it just falls apart like this in sections, which makes it a lot easier for me. So now we'll just do some of these individual plants here and count them as I go along, but you can see what these flytraps look like and what healthy roots and bulbs look like. Flytraps grow in the pseudo bulbs, not a true bulb, but a corm is the technical term. Rinse those off and set them aside for repotting later. And see, this one came apart as 2 plants. That's how they propagate. They'll self-propagate that way, forming plantlets that will grow into adult plants. Okay, here's a large corm, large flytrap. Let me rinse off some of the soil so you can see it more clearly. There's a small one, but there we go. You can see this large corm right here, and this is what a healthy dormant flytrap looks like. The corm will be white and it will have new growth, green on top. Now, one thing about the soil and good soil health is that when it's well aerated, it will maintain good bacteria and the soil will have a nice earthy scent. So when I smell it, it does smell earthy. It doesn't have a funky odor at all. So this soil, despite being 10 years old, is very healthy. And this is why using a mix of 50% perlite with peat moss is essential. It maintains the health of your plants for many, many years. Now I want to show you something here. This is a clump of flytraps that's probably started off as one plant. And then over the past decade, it produced plantlets that formed a small colony of its own and producing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different plants here. Oh my goodness. And that's from, or maybe 7, I think 7 here. Let me get this all cleaned up so we can see more clearly of what we're working with. So 3 there, yeah, 7. 7 plants from one plant. So one plant turned into 7 individual plants over the past 10 years. Look at that. Pretty amazing. Now here's something interesting. Here, look at that. Look how huge this flytrap is. And this can easily be divided into 2 plants. I can feel that break right there, but I'm gonna leave it whole, just like that. Look at that. And nice healthy roots. That's what healthy roots look like. Should be white at the end, just like that. And finally, here's the last of it, the last clump of flytraps from that pot. And by the way, I didn't mention that the variety of this flytrap, it is called King Henry. It produces long leaves and a large trap. During the summertime, early summer, the traps are fairly upright, but as the season progresses and the leaves get longer, they tend to flop over. Well, that took a bit longer than I anticipated. It took me about 30 minutes to get through all of those fly traps. In total, I ended up with 135 fly traps. 40 of them were on the large size and the rest were medium to small. Now, this is the original pot out the fly traps were in, and it's still good. It's still pliable, but we're gonna go with a newer pot. It's still still reusing an older pot, but I rinsed it out, cleaned it up, and I'm gonna take 20 of the larger fly traps of this size and pot them up into this pot. And then the other 20 of the largest size, I'm going to split them up, 10 each in this size pot. And then the rest of the medium and the smaller ones, I'm going to pot up into smaller pots, like 3-inch pots individually. Anyway, I'm going to put these back into water. The plants will be fine sitting in water for a day or 2 until I can get to them. My main focus though are on these 3 pots, these fly traps right here. But we're going to start off with this pot, and hopefully I have enough soil. Anyway, we're going to put all the soil in here. Fill this up to an appropriate level. Like maybe right there, and I'm going to tap it down just like this. I'm just going to press down the soil for a bit, just compacting it slightly. I don't want it too loose. And then what I'm going to do is take one of these fly traps and just make a hole just like this and place it right in just like that. Now, the way to pot this up, the soil line should be right above the corm. The corm is that little bulb spot right there, that little bulb. And the soil line should just be right above it. You don't want to go too high above it, and you don't want to go too low. So a good rule is to just place it about soil line above the corm. So something like that. Okay, and I'm spacing it out maybe about 1 inch or 2. Here's a nice healthy one right there. Look at that. Wow, It's going to be pretty darn amazing when it's all filled out. Okay, this is the last one right here. Let's see if I can find room. I don't know. I'm really crowding out these plants and maybe a bit too crowded, but it's okay. These plants, as you have seen, that these plants form clumps. Oh, this one I have to repot because I didn't get the roots all the way in. Let's get those guys in there. Okay. All right. Yeah, and you saw the clumps that they make, so they're used to being a bit crowded. And then the final step is top dressing. The top dressing will be decorative gravel right here. And one of the benefits of using decorative gravel is that it keeps weeds down. And also the gravel provides some additional heat to these plants. Some extra warmth. Extra warmth will help these plants grow a bit faster. They're native to North and South Carolina, where it's pretty warm during the summer months. Here in Oregon, our summers are pretty darn mild, and sometimes our plants could use an extra boost. The pea gravel, this decorative gravel, will give the plants additional heat into the evening hours. And also the gravel helps with top watering. So we're able to top water without causing any soil erosion. And that's very helpful because I need to spray this, get it watered down to clean up the plants. And let me do that right now. So now I'm just going to rinse off the plants just like this with some water. And this is our reverse osmosis water. And there we go. Okay, now that we've completed this pot, I'm going to continue the process with these two pots, putting 10 of these fly traps into each pot. Okay, we're finally done. You got to see the entire process of repotting Venus flytraps, and you also got to see what healthy dormant Venus flytraps look like. Now, again, the best time to do this process is in late winter and early spring. And for us in Eagle Creek, Oregon, that would be February, March, and April. In other parts of the country, especially in the southern regions, you can do it a lot sooner than that. The goal, though, is to do it while they're dormant. Venus flytraps do not like root disturbance during the growing season. So do it when the plants are dormant. Now, if you want more information about growing Venus flytraps, visit our website at growcarnivorousplants.com. We got tons of information there. Our Volume 1 playlist that shows you how to grow the outdoor perennials. We also have a monthly care video, and I'll be featuring these fly traps in those videos in the upcoming months so that you can see how these plants are progressing throughout the growing season. And those monthly videos are also useful to remind you of what to do each month of the year. That's going to be very handy when we come into fall and winter. We also have other care videos, such as the 5 common mistakes to avoid for healthy Venus flytraps, and a video about the peat moss and perlite mix, why we use 50%, not 10% or 20%, but why 50% is the optimal ratio to use for healthy plants that can live for many years. In this case, a decade and more, and going on, right? So visit our website, lots of information there, growcarnivorousplants.com. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in another video.